When you open up PowerPoint, this is the screen you're going to see if you're creating a PowerPoint slideshow from scratch. So I'm hoping you can sort of see my cursor over here under the new, on the left-hand side.
Yep.
And so we're going to create a new slideshow here. And if you don't like any of the templates, these are all templates that give you something to start with. You can go over to themes here and select any of these. Okay, I'm going to simply use this one. And when I click on it, it gives me the option to create it if I like it, like the looks of it. So I'm going to create it. And this is what we start out with. The most straightforward thing you do is you simply type in, and I'm a horrible typist, so you're going to have to bear with me. And what you may not have been able to see is that I literally click on the area. The text box is highlighted with the little handles on it. And I click in the middle, and then I can start typing. Whoops, I can't say January. If there's already something there, and you simply do a double or triple click to select it all. And I'm going to make it February 1, 2022. Except again, like I said, I'm a horrible typist.
Jonathan, I have a question.
Yes.
Are you on a Mac or a PC?
I'm on a PC.
Okay.
It should be fairly close in both cases.
Okay.
So one of the first things that you want to do, of course, is save it. And it's the little icon up here at the top left-hand corner. So I'm going to save it. In my case, I always like to go to more options so I can browse and select a specific location. And right for this one, I'm going to put it on the desktop and save it. Okay, so this is what I've got so far. I've got one slide, a title, and I've got a second slide that it has suggested I may want to use. To add a new slide, I go up here. I'm actually going to go in between these two, click in between the two, go up to new slide, and add a new one. So I'm going to, in most cases, we're going to be adding in a heading and perhaps text. Let's say that we're doing a hymn, okay? I'm going to put it up here. Whatever the one that may be. And here's where you would enter in the text. But if you don't know already, the words, the text for all of the hymns are available out online. I will send each of you a copy of this, but we can go to I think I have a shortcut for it, which is tinyurl.com hymn words. tinyurl / hymn words, one word. And that will open up a folder where you can access all the words. In this case, I'm going to hopefully this will show on your screen, but I'm going to alternate over. 1 second here. I always have to be conscious of what shows up and what doesn't. Zoom will pick up most things, but not everything. So I have a folder on my computer. I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. I'm going to start sharing my folder here. And these hymn words, lyrics, are all in Dropbox. And they're in a folder called Dropbox CS. Okay, so I can scroll down here and find any one of the lyrics that I want. I'm just going to pick one, say, Tracy Saints of Latter-day Days. So here are the words. I can select them and it's not showing. That's one of the difficulties. Well, bottom line is I can select the words here. I can cut and paste them into the PowerPoint. I'm going to go back and have to start this up. And what comes in handy, just so you know, Control C will copy something. Control V will paste it. On the Macintosh, it's Command C and Command V. So I can select all this. Control X will delete it. Control V will paste it back in, or a Control C will duplicate it again if I so choose to do that. Okay, so those are some quick keys that would come in handy. It's Control C for copy, Control V for paste, and Control X for delete. Now you probably won't use Control X that often, and it deals with whatever text you have highlighted. Okay?
Okay.
So what's the first thing you notice about this text on the screen?
Too small.
I'm clicking here in the middle, and up at the top, it tells me it's Times New Roman 16 point. The fastest way to increase it is to do a triple click to select it all. Go up to the little A icon. Can you see me pointing to the little A icon here at the top? And I can click on it, takes it up to 18 point. Click again is 20 point. Click again is 24. 24 to 26 or 28 is really the optimal size. So now it should be more easily read, but there's still a problem there. What's the other problem?
Just fine.
Say again?
There's no music.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Oh, okay.
But right now, what's wrong with this?
Want some space between the lines.
Well, we want space between the lines. What's this little thing over here?
I don't know.
There's a bullet point.
There's a bullet point. And you usually don't want the bullet points there for hymns. I mean, if you're doing a class presentation or something, or a message, you may want to have bulleted points, but normally you don't. So the easiest way to get rid of that is go up here. You see the little bullet icon up here?
Mhm.
And we simply select it,
Oh, okay.
deselect it. You see how the little tiny bullet is gone now?
Okay. That was simple.
So if I wanted that back again,
I thought I heard you struggling with the.
I can simply click up here and it has it back. If I want a different variety of bullet, I click on this little drop-down list to the right of it. I can select a different kind of bullet, or I can go back and remove it. Make sense so far?
Mhm.
Let's say normally I would put in verse 2, verse 3, whatever, how many verses. I'm going to click, I'm doing a right mouse click on that slide, and I'm going to duplicate it just for expediency. But it comes in handy sometimes if you have a slide built the way you want it to look, and you want to duplicate it, this is the fastest way to do it. Okay, so I've now got 2 slides. I'm going to go in here, and I'm actually going to duplicate it a 3rd time. So we have 3 slides there. Okay. If we wanted music, if we didn't have a video to play over all those slides, we want to use the music to insert it there. What I'm going to do is stop my screen share again. I've got to go over. I'm doing some stuff behind the scenes because if I show you, it doesn't show up on the screen, so it doesn't do you any good to see it, because you won't see it. Under Dropbox, there's a folder called CS Audio. And if you don't have access to any of these, you need to email me and I will give you access. So there's a folder under Dropbox which by the way is a cloud service. It's an area you can reach from any computer if you have the Dropbox app, and you can access it and the files in there. So here we're going to go back and I'm going to share again. And here's the CS audio folder, and you'll see in here the music. Notice the path up here, Dropbox CS audio. I'm going to stop here for a second and explain to you. If you have Dropbox installed on your computer, whether it's Mac or PC, or whether you're working on a tablet or whatever, you have it installed then and running, then you have access to any folder that you've either created yourself or that someone else has given you permission to access. And so what I'm basically telling you is I will give you access, if you don't already have it, I will give you access to these folders so you can download the hymn lyrics and the hymn music to use whenever you want, okay? So I'm gonna double click here, and I don't think you're gonna see it. Okay. I'm not sure if you're hearing that or not.
Okay.
I just have to stop it. Did you hear the music at all or not?
No.
Okay. What I'm going to do here, I forgot to share my sound. I'm going to go back to that audio folder, and I'm going to click on Fierce Lord Jesus. Okay, and so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and I am going to insert, see the little insert up here, and here we go, insert. And then over here on the far right-hand side, you see video and audio. Okay. I'm selecting audio, and I'm doing audio on my PC. And unfortunately, you're not seeing, well, you are seeing some of it. Okay. So here we're going to go to CS audio, and we're going to go to, what was it? I don't even remember which one we used here. I'm going to, pardon? I'll do Kumbaya just for, and notice that I now have this icon for the audio, and I can drag this any place on the screen. The minute I select that audio, you look up here, you'll see play in the background, you see hide during show, rewind. At the very top here is a play, start in sequence, and play across slides, and plus loop until stopped. I'm going to simply select play across slides. Okay, and I'm also going to hide it during the show. Okay, those are the settings I most often do. And I will also take this top one, the start one, and make it automatically. Now what that means is, when I come to this slide, if I'm actually running it, you'll see hymn number CS XXXX. You'll see the words, and it will start playing the music, but you won't see the music icon. It'll just automatically play. So let's, actually I put it on the wrong slide. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to do a Control X. Go back up to the first, or slide number 2 here, and do a Control V. Those are the quickies I was telling you about. Now it's on this one. I'm going to go back up to playback. It's on automatic, play across slides. So now we're going to go ahead and run our PowerPoint. And hopefully you will see it. If not, I'll have to rearrange a little bit. But I'm going to click up here. down here. Click down here for the little slideshow icon, the little screen. Okay, now we're on the first screen. The minute I click, wrong music for the wrong words, but it gives you an example. Now, if I got to the end of the first verse, I have to manually forward this. That's a bad example. I'm going to go in here and I'll show you something. I need you to be able to see that we go from one slide to the next with the music playing continuously in the background. So in order to do that, I'm going to create go back to the home, create a little text box. Where's my text box?
Insert.
Insert.
Well, I'm actually looking here in this area. I had to expand the screen for it to show. I can do an insert, but right now I just want to click here. And I'm going to go down here and just click and drag to make an area that says first verse. Unfortunately, I'm on the second slide. So I'm going to select that, Control X, go back up to the first slide, Control V. And now I'm going to actually take this, and there's another little shortcut. Select it, do Control C to copy it. I didn't delete it, I copied it. Go to the second slide, Control V. Now I can go ahead and put second. I just edited it to say second verse. Go to the third one, Control V to paste it in. And we're still copying that first occurrence. And I put third, or I'll say final verse. Now, one other advantage of doing this kind of copy and paste is if I had, I'm going to go back to the first one. If I had taken this, selected it, and moved it to a specific location based on the guidelines that had it there, then when I cut and paste it to the other slides, it'll be in the same location. Okay, so it makes it, the best I can say is more professional looking, more consistent, okay, to have that little notation in the same location. Now, I'm going to save this just for the heck of it. Go back up to the first slide, and this time, even though the words are the same, you should see it go from verse 1 to verse 2 to the final verse.
So Jonathan, when you cut and paste it like that and you change the font, would the font also change on all of them?
Yes. Well, only if you do it before you cut and paste.
Ah.
So once you cut and paste, they're separate little elements. They act independent of each other, so you have to change the font on each one of them. So here we're going to play this. I'm going down to the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little screen that you may or may not be able to see. In fact, if I make this a little smaller, can you see it here now?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the title slide. One click. And we're going to assume that it's time to go to the second verse. Click again. Time to go to the third verse. Click again. Here's the kicker. If I go to the next slide, it keeps playing. It'll keep playing until that music comes out. And escape, of course, stops it from playing. So if you do that, if you add the music to the text, you need to be sure you, in your mind, are timing it as you run the slideshow and forward it to the second slide, the third slide, the fourth slide. If the hymn has 4 verses and you decide to use 2 of them, you're going to have to go in and edit that audio file, shorten it. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions so far? Let me pause for some questions.
How do you edit?
Unfortunately, you have to have a separate application. I use Adobe Premiere Elements. You can use, there are all sorts of, there's Audacity, which is a free app, but it's a completely separate app, and so it's a little more difficult. And beyond what I can show you tonight. So, okay.
So
Now-
would that be something we'd send Kenny like we do when we want a video embedded?
That's a good question. I don't know if Kenny knows how to, or Roxanne knows how to edit audio.
Can I do it on Wondershare?
I don't think you can. I can't.
Okay,
think.
then I'd have to learn a new thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be helpful if we had a one somebody. So when the rest of us that aren't so proficient can have a resource.
You know, Roxanne may know how to do that kind of editing. We'd have to double check with her. And at worst, frankly, we probably need to get Adobe Premiere and Adobe Photoshop for Roxanne and Kenny to use on the laptop.
Yeah,
As they can edit photos, they can edit video clips and all that sort of thing, as well as the audio.
Am I correct in thinking that Roxanne doesn't know anything about PowerPoint?
no,
I think she does. I thought she did.
I think she does too.
Those.
I'm almost certain that she does.
I don't know.
Okay, well,
I do know that I know quite a fair amount about video or audio editing. And I've got a program that I spent like $5 on for video editing. So if anybody is interested in that little program, you can have it.
or maybe we can pick on Russ to edit audio if as needed. I mean, most cases you're going to probably use all the verses in a hymn, but every once in a while, I know we like to use the first or third or the last or whatever.
Yeah, the only problem is if you don't get the audio and the video together, if they need to be together, that makes it kind of difficult for two people to do it separately.
Yeah, well, I think we're really talking here about having the audio trimmed to go with the words on a slide.
Yeah, that should be no problem.
Okay, well, then let's take it a step further here. We wouldn't always necessarily use the standard format that comes out here. If I go to the upper right-hand corner, you see this design ideas, this button in the right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner. If I select that, every once in a while, it will say no design ideas. And that primarily occurs when you've got extra text. You've done something other than the standard format. So let's go to the second one here and see if we'll turn it off and then turn it back on, see if no, it's not going to give me any. Oh, I know, it's probably because of this. So we're going to eliminate this. Before we put on the first, second, third verse, you may want to have nothing but filling in the template, the standard template. Because notice what happened is the minute I did away with that extra text box, I have all these suggested ways in which I can modify this slide.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to go with this one. I don't know if that necessarily applies, but it at least gives us something, it shows you that you've got some other options. You don't have to stick with what comes as the basic standard format. So if I do that, notice now that my text is down to 15 point again. So I'm going to have to triple click and enlarge it. And we can get it up to 24 point, 26 point. And that's not bad. If when we're on Zoom, 22 to 24 is the minimum size. If we're in church, it really ought to be 26 to 28 point, because so people in the congregation can read it. And this is probably a good point in time to say, don't use italic except for very, very rare. Don't use bold unless you specifically are trying to highlight a word. Don't use script fonts. Avoid those. Try to use something pretty basic because it's more readable. It's just plain more readable.
And don't use blue on red or vice versa.
Exactly. If you use red on black or black on red, it's very, very difficult for people who are colorblind or people with any kind of, well, even for most people, it's very difficult. Same thing with putting white letters on yellow background. So any of those, and some of these templates, unfortunately, will do that. But then you need to be able to go in and select another option or to change the background color or change the text color. So it will show up. Okay. We have a picture over here. If I click on this, you can see by the little handles that we have a picture, and that's not the picture I want. So I can do a right mouse click, change the picture. And one of the options is this from stock images. And these are stock images built into PowerPoint. Now it throws up a whole bunch of stuff and says, okay, maybe some of these will suit your purpose. This cloud one is kind of pretty, so I'm going to simply select that and then tell it to insert it. And notice I guess it's actually icebergs. If there's not a stock one you want, in fact, I'm going to go back and change the picture again, go back to stock, because I want you to realize up here you can say clouds, and it will come up with, if there are some in the depository of images, it'll come up with them and show you. So I'm going to select this one, and again I have to click down here on the insert button, and so there's a nice image that might go with this hymn. Notice when I do that, I have some other options over here. I can click change to change it again, and I can keep going down and select additional ones and realize I may have to alter this font size again. And if you run out of designs that you like, you simply go to the bottom and select more, etc. Okay. I liked the design a couple times ago. So I go up here in the upper left-hand corner and see that little back arrow, kind of a circular back arrow.
Right.
Click on that, it takes me back one. And that takes me back to where I have my font size the way I want it and have a nice cloud picture. So if you ever do something, even if you delete a slide and you haven't saved it, and you say, oh, I want that slide back, then you want to go up and use this reset or I can't think of the word for it. There's a
Restore.
Well, it's an undo. Thank you. Undo.
Undo.
Yeah, there's an undo button. If, on the other hand, I like that other slide, after I've undone it, I can redo it and go back here. So these two can come in very handy.
The other thing that I do every once in a while when I do design ideas, you could stretch that box if you can't get your font big enough.
Right. This box here, you can stretch this. Now, with some of these templates, you can't change this background quite so easily. So you're kind of constrained within the box here. Some you can adjust, some you can't. But you do have the option to, at least within that box, expand expand it out, the text.
Could you do that to the picture as well? Make it smaller?
You can make it smaller like so. I don't think you can make it larger and pick up some of the other, I don't think we can. No, this stretches it. That's a good point too. When you're dealing with these little handles, the top right, the top left, the bottom right, and the bottom left will keep it proportional. If you use the side ones, it'll stretch. You see how it stretched it? The same thing with top and bottom. I can get it to, there we go. It will stretch it. And of course I can undo to get it back where it was originally. Okay.
Interesting to note that you were sort of overlaying the picture with combining the picture and the text there too.
Yeah. But keep in mind, PowerPoint's trying to make it as easy as possible for you. So it's going to, when you select those design ideas, it's coming up with some templates that it thinks will work for you. In some cases, it's altering the background that you can't really do much with. In other cases, you can adjust the size, etc. But it's, you know, it's trying to help you come up with a good design. I'm
So,
going. Yes.
So on the one that we have on the screen now, the line of the hymn that says, "No more in darkness need you walk." I don't like that. I want "walk" to be on the same line as what's above it. So then I could go up to design ideas and pick that top one because that box is bigger, so the words would fit in it more like that.
Okay. If we do that,
Right.
yes, then you'd have to go here and enlarge it. By the way, if you
Yeah.
triple click, you'll select the whole thing, and at least initially, it will show you this box here where you can increase the size.
Right, right.
Now, when I get, there's 24 point, there's 26. And so that is a wider box. And so that would work.
Right, okay.
That would work. Okay. We also have the option to a right-hand click on this and change the picture. And remember, we used from stock images.
Mhm.
I'm going to use from a file. So this has to be a file either on your computer or a file, say in Dropbox. So I'm going to select that. And I'm going to go down here to my D drive, which has my Dropbox folder on it, and go down to a folder called Storyboard Blocks. Now, several years ago, I subscribed for 2-3 years to Storyblocks and downloaded every picture I could because it basically, by paying the fee, the annual fee, for perpetuity, I can use and we can use the images in here. Now, since then, I've also bought some images and I put them in here. So all these are ones that we should not have any copyright problems with at all. So let's go down here to Cross, and I've kind of grouped them in folders. And let's select this one. And so now it's in there. Notice it overlaps. So we can again go back here and select a template that does better. We have to redo our font size again, a perpetual problem. But this one's also going to give you that walk on the wild side where you don't want it.
Can you just edit the text there?
Not if if it's a hymn, the hymn lyrics, you don't want to edit it, but otherwise you could, yes.
Well, I'm talking about taking out the return after you.
It's wrapping. There's not if I take that out, you have "you walk." It's a space. It's not a carriage return. It's a space between words, and it can, at that font size, it cannot keep it all on one line.
Okay, without enlarging the box.
Right. And if we try to enlarge it,
there you go.
I don't think we're going to be. Oh, we do. Okay. Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
The other option, of course, would be to select one of the other. I thought we had one like this one here, which makes a smaller image and at the same time gives you a bigger text box. So there we can go to 24. We can actually go to 26. We can just barely get a 28 point in there, although the leading between lines is a little tighter than what you would normally want. Leading being just the spacing between the lines. Okay, so you have the ability to grab images from that story blocks site on under Dropbox. You have the ability to use standard images, and you have the ability to any image on your computer. Like I know Kanitha this last Sunday used some of Ron's images. So if you have photos or whatever, you can use any of those sites. There's one other thing I want to show you. Let's see here. I'm going to stop sharing and go back in again. And oh, I thought I had it open. Well, give me 1 second. I will have to go behind the scenes again and open up a folder.
So Jonathan, are you the only one that can save 2-story blocks, or can we, if we find good pictures, can we save it there also?
Yes, you can. The way I've done it is I've made it so that anybody who has access has complete editing control, which also means, unfortunately, that if you go through and delete 4,500 photos, or even 5, those are not available for anybody else. So once you delete, it's gone. If you add, it's there for everybody. Okay, so let's try another screen share here. This is a site called pexels.com, and they offer, they're amateur photographers and some very professional who offer images for people to use without fee, without charge. Now, what happens is if you go to pexels.com, you end up with the search box up here, and you can see some of my recent searches. This last Sunday for class, I looked up Torah. And if you were in class, this image probably looks somewhat familiar. And so you can find an image and download it to your computer or to Storyblocks, either way, and then use it in a PowerPoint. So let's do something like cross. So let's say we like this particular image because we're going to come up on Easter. I can download it, and you simply place it somewhere on your hard drive. I'm going to go ahead and put it in Dropbox under Storyblocks. I have so many folders, I have to stop and think every once in a while. And here I have one already set up for crosses, so I'll add it there and save it. So now that's available. Now, one of the things that happens to be an iStock image. So they're offering it free because they want you to go ahead and pay for a subscription. We're not going to do that. So in other cases, though, let's take this one. Let's just take this image. I'm going to start downloading it. And what happens is you'll see this. You can download it and save it. I'm not going to save this one this time. I'm going to cancel out. But this is what I wanted to show you. I make it a habit, and you don't have to, but I make it a habit that if I use somebody's photo, I use PayPal and I donate $2 to them. It's not a lot of money, but some people are very appreciative of even getting a little bit in return, because these are amateur photographers who are trying to hone their skill, and some of their photos are absolutely excellent. You don't have to do that, but I do it. And I just think it's a good thing to do. You can also copy here and put this on the image, although it's not required. And I tend not to do it more than I do. So anyhow, the point is pexels.com gives you access to an awful lot of images. We'll go down here and do Crossroad. Literally thousands of issues or images. So, sorry, it may be thousands of issues too, but it's thousands of images is what I'm trying to say. And so you can use any of these and choose to either give them a little bit of cash or not. So, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. Go back to screen share, back to our slideshow. And this time I'm going to go back just to show you that it's actually out there. Select this, do a right mouse click, change picture from file. And here's that pixels file. And again, we'd want to reorient it and change your font back here again. Does that make sense? Okay. When you save a file, what I've been recommending people do is when you have your PowerPoint completely set and you know you're not going to make any more changes to it, then I strongly suggest, I'm going to enlarge this so you can see a little better, that you go out here to File, and down at the bottom is this Options. Okay. And I'm going to put a commercial here for a second. If you email me, I will send you a couple handouts that cover a lot of this information. So I'm not sure I have everybody's name who's on the thing or that I have it handy. So send me an email and I will send you it. And I'll also let you know when this is posted so you can go back and review if you choose to. So I go to File and then down to Options. And under Save, see this General here. And then we've got Proofing, and then we've got Save. At the very bottom, it says Embed Fonts in the file. I always select that because if I use a font that's on my computer, but not on the church computer, it will skew everything. It will substitute the best it can, but it may not give you the image or the design you want. And I don't do embed all characters. I could, but basically, I'm not looking for other folks in our scenario to edit it. So I don't have to include all those fonts. All I can do is embed the characters used in the presentation, and it also makes it a smaller font size, smaller file size, sorry. Once that's done, I go down here and do an OK. And now every one of these fonts in here, no matter what they are embedded within that file. Okay. And the other thing I do is go up here and do a file, save a copy. And on this, you can see at the very top is the title, PowerPoint Training. Under it, it has this PowerPoint presentation PPTX. And I go down to PowerPoint Show, and I'm going to save it as a show, which means it runs independent of PowerPoint. To me, that's the easiest way. You never have to worry about showing the PowerPoint interface. Now, the disadvantage is you can't make a last minute change. You can, but it's a little trickier. So I always make it a PowerPoint show. And because the two icons on a desktop look very, very similar, I always go up here and simply follow it with a dash show so that I can tell exactly which of the two files is the PowerPoint and which is the show. Okay. And then I save it. And then I can run that show, and I won't do it now. I think most of you have seen the shows run. It runs the same as if you had PowerPoint open and click the little screen icon. But the advantage is you click on the file and it automatically runs and goes through, and it will embed whatever audio, whatever text, whatever video you have. It's all in there. Okay, I'm going to take a second and say, what questions have you got? Well, in that case,
I was just trying to unmute.
Oh, go ahead.
So with the new thing where we have to go to Sharon and get copyrights. So at the end of the hymn, do we not put, you know how the words of the hymn always have 1889, Susie Jones? We don't put that on anymore at the end of the hymn. Is that accurate?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Okay, you don't need to have that on the end of the hymn because it will be on those last pages of the attributions. If that changes, then we will go back to that. But right now, you don't need that because she's got it all put together on 1 or 2 pages at the end. And if I may, Jonathan,
Sure.
I didn't realize, I'm so glad I came to class because Sharon just said, I'm going to give you some music to put on the last pages of the attributions. And I didn't realize I couldn't do that on Wondershare. So if you do send that to Roxanne and myself, then we will be able to do that for everybody and put the music on that if someone wants it that way. You know how we just right now it's just a page and there's no sound on those last pages of the PowerPoint. I was going to try to do it on Wondershare this week, so I'm really glad I came to class. But
it's up to Kenneth and Roxanne to decide. But frankly, I think it may be easier to put it on the end of every hymn. But that's your call.
I didn't hear what you said, Jonathan.
Okay, I said it's up to you and Roxanne how you want, what standards you want to set. But to me, it seems easier to put that information at the end of the hymn on the final verse page. But it's your call. Either way, what we're talking about is this information down here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Sharon has been tasked with the copyright stuff, so she can, maybe the advantage is she can make sure everything's right, but she does need to know the hymns you're using and that sort of thing.
Yeah. And I think because she's worked so hard on that, whatever she decides, that's what I'm going to vote for. Whatever Sharon wants to do on that. And Roxanne, well, between Sharon and Roxanne, whatever they want to do.
Sure. That sounds good to me. So
Kenny, how does that slide get put into a PowerPoint?
Sharon will send it to you. She'll send you all the information and you'll just copy and paste it onto the PowerPoint slide.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if she's sending it as text or whatever, but if you ever, maybe you don't want to know, you can take and reuse slides from old PowerPoint slideshows. Do you want me to show you how to do that, or is that too much? You're muted, Debbie.
That's because my dog was barking.
Oh.
He's not now. He's calmed down. It would be too much for me, but don't let that stop somebody else from learning something.
Well, let me show you just a couple more basic things, and then we'll call it quits for the night because I think you probably are getting saturated. So,
Jerry, did you follow that?
Kenny,
yes.
Kenny, do you guys need this Zoom at 6 o'clock?
Oh, no. Thank you for asking.
For your pastor's meeting?
Mm-mm. We don't need it. We don't need this.
Okay.
We're using a different format. We're using a different Zoom.
Okay. We'll be
Thank
off
you
of
for
this pretty quick anyhow. I think another 4 or 5 minutes worth of stuff, and that's probably all you want to absorb for one night. So the one thing I wanted to show you is Kenny has talked about Wondershare already, and so we use that to download videos, and there are some videos already saved out there under CS video. If we create a new slide here, I'm gonna delete this and recreate it. And all I'm doing really is going to the very end. I can even select the very last slide, go up here and do new slide. And one of the things you need to be aware of is you can change the layout. There's a little layout button here. So these are all the options you have, but in this particular case, this layout will work. One of these, this third from the left on the bottom row icon is to insert video. And you can select that and then go out and select some video. Now this is what in that CS video folder under Dropbox. So these are already out there for you to use if you choose to use them. You don't have to, but they're out there for you to use if you wish. I'm going to select Onward to Zion, do a double click here, and it adds it in. And then you've got several choices you've got to make. I'm going to hide my floating control so I can show you better what's at the top here. Notice that by default, this video format is selected. Hopefully my wife will pick that up in a second. I don't want to decline it since it's my daughter, so I'll let her pick it up. So, okay, so once we get it in here, this video format is selected, and we can align it, we can rotate it, we can do a number of things here, but the important thing is to select playback. Once you select playback, you have some options here you need to address. One is play full screen. You don't have to do that. I like to have it play full screen. I think people can see it better, but if you've got it encased within a template where you've got some text or something on the side, you may choose not to have it full screen. Because if it's not full screen, I can drag this off to the side. I can insert an image here. I'm just going to pick anything. And I can resize this down, stick it off to the side. And the point is, I can have it so this image is there throughout the video playing and have this smaller. I, again, like it simple, so I tend to simply select this. You have to select it. Go up here to playback and make it full screen. And then you have several options. One is you can start it in this click sequence, which means you go to the slide, that's one click, then you'd have to click a second time to start the video. Another option is to have it automatically start. So you go from one slide to this slide, it'll start playing the video automatically. Another option is clicked on, which means you go to this slide and you have to click on the video for it to start. So you have three options there. You click anywhere on the slide, click on the video, or have it start automatically. I'm going to have it start automatically. I'm going to go back one slide. And by the way, notice here's our image. You're going to see that for a fraction of a second because this thing's going to play full screen. I'm going to play it, click once. When I click, it stops it, and we can proceed on and ends the video. Okay. So let me look at my notes, see what I didn't cover. I think we've saturated you with enough for one night.